Hey there, just a quick reminder we have a mentorship program if you're looking for personalized coaching and mentorship to help guide you to the next level of your interior design business, whatever that might look like for you, whether it's processes and procedures or what services to offer to how to incorporate wellness, intention, or spirituality into your projects. Come join us over at designcoven.com/join. Or if you're just in search to connect with other like-minded interior designers, you can join our free community, also located at designcoven.com/join. Welcome. Today's guest is Daniel Barron Corrales. He is an artist from Southern California who is reacting to the conditions that surround him. He's local here in San Diego, and we talk about his newest art project, which is Readel Urban Farms, and how the conditions of 2020 really drove him into this new medium of plants and connecting with the soil, connecting with the earth. And then we talk a bit about his transition and where he's at right now, because there's some things that have changed. He used to do a lot of art by making objects, and things have shifted. And it's just really interesting to see how artists shift and change, much like many of us. And we're just on a journey with Daniel. And we touch a little bit about my history as well, and where I've come from and how that has been a driving force for me. So today's episode's really a lot about inspiration, what drives us, and where we go next from here. Enjoy. You're listening to the Holistic Interior Design Business Podcast. This is a podcast that guides you as a new or inspiring independent interior designer navigating your entrepreneurial path. Here, with my over 20 years experience, I will share my holistic approach to design with intention and ancient practices, including feng shui, all incorporating mind, body, and spirit into my design projects. You will also learn from seasoned interior designers as they give strategies and insight of how they built their businesses and continue to work in the field. Together, we will discover supportive trade partners, new ideas, creatives, and inspiring artists from around the world. I am your host, Rachel Larraine Crawford. Hello, welcome back. I'm so excited to have Daniel with me here today from Readel Urban Farm. And we will set the stage, of course, by ringing a bell to get us into the present moment. I'll light us a candle. We'll talk about our brew, and I'll pull us a card. So just kind of getting centered in our space. I'm going to light a candle, just calling in these beautiful fire spirits of creativity and creation. Great. And I'm going to start by, I think what I'll do is I'll pull us a card. And Daniel and I were just speaking about how we first met, and I offered to pull him a card. And what was your response?
I was just, no.
And what do you think it was? Were you just afraid?
No, it's just, I don't know you.
You're like, I don't want you tapping into my field.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
None of your business.
You're like, I don't need you in my space. Get out of here. Well, I'm going to pull a card. But you know what's so
in the
funny
most polite way. I was trying to be polite. I mean, but definitely my answer was no.
Yeah. And I remember another time when I
still
met
laugh
you,
about
and you were like, you know what, you pulled a card the other day, and it was the moon, and everything you said was like coming true, and I was freaking out, and I was just like,
There's weeks where you're on point, like to the T, and it's scary. Yeah. I mean, in a good way, right?
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
just one of those things where you're like, oh,
Like, what is happening right now?
okay, that happened. Or you watch the video late and you go, yeah, okay, that was, at the end of the day, you go, oh well, that makes sense.
That's so funny. Well, I'm going to pull a card today just to kind of set the energy
Okay.
for the space. Hope that's okay. I'm pulling from the Gentle Tarot. So we've got a Gentle tarot card here. So her cards are super soft. It's a nice, easy way to tap into the energy. And we have the Flower of Wands. This would be the Page of Wands here, right? Oh, yeah, flower. I'm sorry. We got the eight. This is a new deck. Eight of Wands. Sorry. Eight of Wands, and it says Flower of Wands, but there's the number 8 up here. So it's either going to be this Page of Wands or this energy of the 8. So we've got a very beautiful card. It has a crow on it. There's a flame in the center of the breast. And then there's, it's almost like rosemary, or there's a beautiful plant here, and there's 4 of them. And so I'm thinking...
My spirit animal.
Yeah, is it? The crow?
There you go. Well, it feels like it, yeah.
It feels like it, yeah. It's just so wise, and it's either a crow or a raven. I can't tell either one. It's absolutely stunning. So the thing that I'm seeing here is the flame that's at its breast. So it's like really about that passion that's sitting within us. And I'm almost seeing it wanting to just cry out like what it is that's wanting to come from it. It's just a really beautiful card. Anyway, so we've got a beautiful energy of this crow, raven, blackbird with flames happening. So I'm digging the fire. I'm down for it. And then I also love to share what we're drinking. What do you have, Daniel? What are you sipping on?
Yeah, my morning coffee.
Yeah, your coffee
Murky
person.
mug.
Nice.
I alternate
you?
between coffee and tea.
Okay,
Yeah,
what's your
I
favorite tea?
try at some point it just doesn't do it, so I switch to green tea, and then at some point that becomes overwhelming, and then I switch back to coffee.
Got it. So
But right now the coffee is really, it's been a really nice place.
So does the tea feel more energetic to you, or is it the coffee that, or are they just
No,
different?
I think they're different. They just vibrate differently within me. Like sometimes coffee can become anxiety kind of feeling. But that's when I switch to tea.
Mhm.
And then tea starts to do that, and then I switch back to coffee.
I like
I
it.
think each one has a different routine, connected to them. So I like to switch and kind of have a little bit of a fresh routine in the morning.
Nice. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like for me, coffee kind of just ramps things up, and I can only really take one small cup. And then the tea for me kind of grounds me a little bit more and keeps me a bit centered and helps me slow down. I feel like coffee just ramps everything up. Oh my God, that's a ginormous coffee. Do you go through that the whole day?
So, no, just in the morning.
Oh my
It's my French
God.
press.
That thing is huge.
Yeah, it's definitely a part of my morning routine.
Well, I have this cup of green tea, and I feel like this is ginormous, but compared to your craft, it's like mini. But Paru has her loose leaf teas, and it's just beautiful. And I picked this one because we're going to be talking about plants and just connecting with leaves and the medicine that plants have for us. And it just reminds me of like a garden in this beautiful water. So I'm going to pour myself some of that. And I always like looking at the color of it. I feel like the color always has something to tell us. And I was really expecting this to be like a green, but it's more like a golden green, which is really cool. All right, so I have questions for you. Tell me about home. What is home
Okay.
like for you at this moment? What is that feeling like for you?
Home has never been a place that the physical home has
Yeah.
never been a place of like a calm, like serene space. So a lot of home for me is created within my routines. I really seek that within myself because I'm self-employed. I
Yeah.
got the farm. I'm an artist. So, I mean, if you were to see my house, it's more boxes of inventory.
Yeah.
And than anything. So it's never peaceful in that sense, but yeah, it's peaceful in my routines, and it's peaceful in my creative energy is really kind of driving things forward in making me feel at peace and at home, So
Hmm.
I've never been really tethered to the idea of home, you know. When I used to
Mm.
live in San Francisco, and well, the apartment
Okay.
was really small, Um, so you always had to find, home elsewhere, or dig within, in like self-reflection or in your creative energy or whatever different thing to make that happen.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I love it. So what are the routines or the things that you're incorporating in your life at the moment that kind of get you into that space of your sanctuary of calmness and peace?
I think I started getting up really early,
Hmm.
and I think it's not by choice. It's odd. It's odd.
Huh.
I like to get up early, and I've gotten up early in the past, and I used to go running, and all these different things. Um, but now it's like my coffee and my tea or whatever I'm
Yeah.
drinking at the moment. I play the guitar. Uh, you know, to me, I constantly have to be learning something,
Yeah.
or have to be refining some sort of a like a creative outlet. And at the moment, I'm not making sculptures anymore. I'm not making objects.
Okay.
So yeah, now the way I look within is, and I'm realizing that learning is such a big part of who I am, because in some respect I grew up in like an information vacuum.
Okay.
I'm dyslexic, so I've been so here's the thing, it's dyslexic without the internet.
Yeah.
That's how I grew up, because the internet wasn't around, and it was just read it slower, or just read it.
Yeah.
It's the information wasn't really accessible. YouTube started coming out, and people started putting tutorials and all these
Hmm.
different things, and that vacuum was released. And now, as an adult, I can't get enough. I can't
Wow.
get enough. I mean, that's how the farm started. Um, I had to learn something in my little garden. I had a tiny little garden, and then
Right.
um, I wanted to do it better, and then I made a bunch of different beds, uh, and then I realized that I was feeding my friends and family,
Mm.
and then from there I was like, well, I've got the time. 2020 was in full bore, and
Yeah.
being locked in, and food security was being threatened, and health was being threatened, and all these different things. And it was really hard, but it became I needed that physical exhaustion not to feel stagnant, because before the pandemic hit,
Mm.
before the lockdown happened, I I had shows. I had shows in Santa Ana. I had potential shows in LA. I had a couple shows in Baja. I had two in San
Oh my
Diego,
gosh.
and the pandemic hit, and some of those galleries shut down. Some of those opportunities just kind of got put on hold. But during the pandemic, there was so much time to look within, and it made me analyze things really differently. I started questioning, I don't know, making objects that stored value, and who were was I really reaching my goal as an artist? To me, it's always been about creating this universal language, and exploring and sharing that exploration. And the way I was describing my work was like coded in some way, because the language that's associated to art is academic, and
Yeah.
and I just didn't feel like I was reaching my audience, if like I consider myself an artist who reacts to his environment.
Mm.
So at what point was I being true to my audience? Was I, well, not audience, but true to my environment and the people around me? I'd describe my work to people, and they were confused, or they'd sit me
Yeah.
with a blank face, and I was
Just didn't
not
click.
describing it successfully, and it was my feeling. It was
Yeah.
my um, it might have been successful in other ways, but I started realizing that I was I had done projects in the past that were successful to me, and I was chasing something that wasn't who I was. I'm not an academic, you know. I've explored all that stuff. So from there, I took the little garden. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make. Everything's out the window there. So if I keep
So you're
gazing
looking
out
at
that way, it's because I
it.
keep staring at my doings. I wanted to create wealth for my community and those around me, and create something that was nutritious, you know,
Yeah.
and something that was accessible, you know, like it, because like
Yeah.
nutritious in a really accessible way. So I went I went literal with the idea, and I pulled up all my garden beds, and it hurt because it was at the beginning of the season. The summer was starting to hit. All my plants were starting to, you know, come alive. There's a
Right.
point where you have these seedlings and you nurture them, and at some point they, you know, they get legs of their own, and they really root down, and they start becoming, you know, something that shows potential. And I said, I have to. If I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it, you know.
Yeah.
So I tore everything up, and I made beds that were and I organized the yard to where it was 30 inches. I took all my whole backyard, which is a decent size. Every 30 inch bed, 10-inch walkway, 30-inch bed,
Yeah.
10-inch walkway, 30-inch, you know. And I went through the whole thing, and then at some point it made like a, you know, aesthetically pleasing pattern, which
Right.
wasn't intended, but I think, you know,
There's
as an
something there that
artist,
was happening
you
while you
know,
were.
you know, exactly. It's like your mind is trained already, and you think, okay, there's confidence in the gesture. I think that's what happened. I'm just going to do it, and acting, you know, creates something aesthetically pleasing, at least in my my way of thinking. So that started going, and I started planting things, and, you know, I was really excited that I was having my friends over, and that was meaningful, right? And
Right.
it was nice to see my friends and family. Then I started posting it on Facebook, and it was a way to stay connected, right? But then the pandemic was lifted, and I started taking things to market, and I started dealing with strangers.
Mm. That's a whole
Like,
nother dynamic.
oh my goodness, like, how do I put it? It was spiritually soothing. I don't know. It's just
Interesting.
like to see your effort truly connect with your community. You know, I grew up at the flea market. You know, we've had a stall at the flea market for 34 years.
And what were you doing at the flea market?
I mean, we used to sell fabric. Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to sell fabric, and you know, it was a lot of hard work in that whole nine. But as a kid, you take for granted the community that comes with it. You're just a part of it. You're just a part of the flow. You're part of the condition. You're just a part. And I moved away and came back, and then started helping my mom at the stall. The pandemic hit, we shut down, but when we came back, we had a little bit of fabric and we had the vegetables. But having that direct to consumer and telling people your story and how you started, and talking about food security, and talking about food integrity, you know, I don't do any pesticides, none of that. So the people were really are and continue to be very inspired, and I don't know, just the interaction, and that people go, you know, at some point, if I have overages of vegetables, I don't bring them home and put them in the compost bin. I give them away. There's some days where I'm giving away more vegetables than I'm selling, but
Oh my gosh.
people go, why do you do that? Why don't you just take it home and give it to your friends and family? I was like, it's a selfish thing.
Yeah.
You don't know true, like, inner wealth until you express, like, generosity with strangers. Like, there's a selfish thing there. Like, this is a selfish thing. I'm doing it for me. And
Yeah.
people go, well, what do you mean? That's
What is the
it
reaction
feels
to the
really good.
what is the reaction
Oh,
to the strangers that are receiving? Are they thinking like, what is this? Is this a trick? Or are they open and
it's so varied. It's so varied.
Mhm.
There's some people, like during Christmas, there was a couple of people where you just give them a bag of lettuce
Uh-huh.
and a thing of carrots. And I had a lady look at me and without words, you could tell that she just really needed that. It's something that I lacked. I chased this. I'm a very passionate person. I chased, art and what I thought art was for such a long time. And thinking that, I was being successful because, the work that I was making was going to explore these things and people would eventually see it and they'd feel it. And in my eyes, it wasn't doing that enough. And the connections that I wanted to be making to people that mattered to me was my community. I really, really hit the nail on the head in the farm with that. Even if at some points I'm not profitable, but having that human connection is something that, man, money can't buy that.
Yeah.
Money can't buy that because it's filling a void that I had within for a really long time. So, yeah, it's nice.
I love that you found this medium in food when you've explored like all these other things. Was there something in particular that, I know you said you were looking in your garden and you started with a small, garden bed. Was there something that pulled you to the food realm in particular, or you were just kind of looking for something to do, or it's just like filling time, or?
I thought it'd be profitable, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started mingling with community and the growing. This is profitable. You're in the wrong business if you're here for profit. And it's like, nah, you don't know what you're saying. I kept going and I kept going. I kept pushing. I was like, I can do it. There's this guy on YouTube.
Oh my God.
And it's not. It's not. You have to have, acres and money, and you have to have people working for you. It's really hard to have integrity when it comes to paying people properly.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have the integrity in the food the same way, because at that point, at that scale, you have to think of your profits, or
Right.
the business just doesn't survive, right? Right now I'm restructuring.
Okay.
It's not something like I have the microgreens, and that's something that I'll continue doing at the flea market, and that'll keep things going. But it's a lot of work. And I've reached a point where I just can't afford to risk my future. That sounds really bad. It's just, I have to look out for myself, or
Right.
I won't be able to do future projects. So right now I'm building a small business that sells Amazon overstock, and I use that business to keep this one afloat. And it's actually gotten to the point where it's just not a business,
Are you doing all this on your own?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
hard. It's hard. I mean, at first it's really easy. I had all that pent up energy from the pandemic and being alone and being, all this angst. And I drove it into that the same way you drive it into the gym or any other medium.
Yeah. And I just remember like seeing your stories on Instagram where you were just like hauling like dirt and you were just like moving. I mean, it was just crazy. And you'd come on at the end of the day and I was like, whoa, like you really like released some stuff into that soil and that ground. And you were just like, you were working. I was just like, oh my God, you could just tell there was something happening. There was huge transformation.
It might've been avoiding the emotional aspect of the pandemic. I had to drive it into something or I was going to lose it,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was hard, but yeah, now it's gotten to a point where it's slowing down, and granted, we're in like a shoulder season, so it's between summer and winter. It's not enough cold for some crops, and it's not enough heat for others.
Mm.
So I'm restructuring and trying to rethink and mourn the idea of this being a business.
Okay.
And I'm in some sort of a mourning process.
Yeah. And you said you're shifting into ginger.
Yeah, I'm doing ginger. Ginger is something that is a long day to maturity. So it's something that I think it can be up to 6 months to grow, 4 to 6 months.
And is this helping with that graving process?
Well, it's just gonna put something in the ground, so I just don't, throw everything aside.
Okay.
I don't want to abandon ship. I was growing 30-day crops. 30, I was pushing it at 60, like beets are 80. But I was trying to do high succession so I could rotate my plots and my beds fast.
Got it.
And now I need to focus on creating some sort of financial security for myself. And to me, that's not an issue. I grew up at the flea market. If you show up with $100, you go to different stalls, you shift it over here and you sell it here and you move it there, you can leave with 5. But I grew up with that. So it's
Right.
I've never worried about, and to me, the car I drive and money and things are fleeting. I don't worry about it. It's just, I know that I'll be happy if I have to sell oranges on the side of the road because home is here, and all this other money and material and the things that we consider stable are fleeting, So yeah, now I've jumped back to the flea market. I've created this little business of Amazon overstock, and I drive to LA once a week, and between then I grow my microgreens and I tend to my the things that I'm growing. Right now we're shifting into, I ordered ginger seed.
Okay.
And that'll be something fun because it has a lot of aroma. It takes a long time to grow, but eventually it'll yield the ginger. It'll ginger shoots. It'll the leaves are really good tea. I'll have this more than organic crop because I'm not going to put any pesticides again, and I can restabilize after this pandemic. The pandemic was tough. My fabric business, my mom was trying to retire, so my mom and I have always been 2 peas in a pod. So she wanted to retire, and she's been grandfathered into these prices at the swap meet, where the stall fees are really low. So I was like, you can't just let that go, Mom. If you want and a little extra money, we can reshape your business in a way that is not a lot of work, and we're getting there. I think we're about 80% there, to the point where she shows up, she puts her little table, and sometimes she comes with me to LA, but sometimes I just bring her back stuff. I go, this is going to sell really well. This is trendy, and this is so she'll get, like, for her, she gets makeup, and she gets right now she gets, I was going to tell you about them, but they're these glass bottles, water bottles with a crystal at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Or a little pocket of crystals at the bottom, and she's selling those, and now she's having a really good time at the flea market again, as where before it was something really stressful because people weren't sewing enough. The people from TJ weren't crossing. That was a majority of our business. And we were really, like, it was oh
my God.
Yeah, it was like being out in the ocean without, it wasn't drowning, but we were definitely in quicksand. It was definitely getting to the brink. And I found a wholesaler in LA, and then I found another, and now I drive to LA and get my stuff, and I come back, and we organize it once a week. I sell online. Right now we're giving away more vegetables than we sell, but it's really fun, and that's a beautiful aspect. That's that beauty that fills me up. So yeah, everything's in a really good place. In a really good place, and I've let go the idea that I'm a conventional artist that makes objects, and 2, that I'm going to be some sort of a grocer, producer, or some sort of a vegetable farmer the rest of my life. That was like a
Maybe it's,
pandemic thing,
yeah, that was a phase.
Well, it's not even a phase. It's just like this. The pandemic created a different person inside. You had to shift.
Yeah.
You had to shift, or be destroyed by the pressure of being locked in. So I shifted. I've never had a problem shifting. Even in my work. I'm, home
So
is
do you
within.
see yourself going back to art or
I mean, I don't know if we can
creating?
cuss on your show or anything, but
Oh, you're fine.
I don't give a fuck about very many things. But the things I care about a lot.
And what are those things that are super sacred to you right now?
Family, creating a financial future that's stable for all of us. More than anything, my mom and I. When I came back from San Francisco, I bounced around and living in different places, and I was living in an office that was connected to my uncle's house, and I installed a bathroom, a shower, and it was fun and all. But then my mom's business started not doing so well, and she's like, "Just move home." I was like, "Mom, I'm almost 40. Like I can't move home. I can't move home. I just can't. I can't. I need to have. We've always been so united." I was like, "I need my independence."
Yeah.
She's like, "But the business, and we can make something work." And I was like, "Okay, I'll move home if we can split it into a duplex." And I did that. So right now I have 3 bedrooms on my side. I'd rent one to a friend who works at UCSD's art department.
Nice.
One is my gym slash office, which needs to be refined a little better.
Okay.
And one's my bedroom, and then the kitchen is storage for merchandise. And it works really well, because if we wouldn't have done that, I'm not sure what would have happened financially in so many different arenas, not just my financial security, but my mom's.
Right. Wow.
And now I got this guy he's a friend of a friend from Boston to move in, and the pandemic hit, and my mom had a little rent coming in, and then the pandemic was lifted, and I found the wholesaler, and it was this perfect shift of financial security. And and the weird thing, and knock on wood or whatever thing, is I never doubted it for a second. I never doubted that things would line up. They just always have.
Yeah.
And I have faith in my journey. I think my journey is something that as a younger man, I used to, really stress out, and it'd make me think all kinds of, and I wasn't trusting of my journey. And now what's going to happen? There's nothing. I've been through so much. I've survived so much. Nothing matters. And the things that matter a lot. So focus on them. And those things that matter are family, creating peace for myself and those around me, and those who I care about and care about me, and double down on the things that give, and the people who are generous, and the people who accept my generosity, and vice versa. So that's those things.
It's very cool. Yeah, I totally came on here, thinking that we're going to be talking about your farm and all these things that are happening. And I just love how nimble you are, and how mutable you're able to shift and turn and be okay with taking risks and getting you to the next level of your evolution. And I'm just curious, what is your sign? Like, you're so malleable.
I'm January 19th. I think I'm a cusp.
You're a Capricorn.
Or some sort of a...
a Capricorn on the cusp of Aquarius.
And I'm not too... I've known more of the Capricorn, because I don't read a whole lot of the astrology stuff. I don't know my rising and my falling stars or whatever. But I just know that I'm in a movie. I'm just floating along. Trust the fact that whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and it's going to happen because it needs to happen.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, I talk to
And
people all the time,
and it's
and
been something that I had to cultivate. I had to cultivate that again. That's not
it's not
something that comes naturally. That's
got it.
something that over time I had to cultivate, because
Got
early
it.
on I had these ideas of poetic poverty, you know, and
Mm.
as an artist, I want to be poetically impoverished. So at some point you just, no, stupid, you are impoverished. You broke. And we didn't grow up with a lot, so
Yeah.
I really didn't have to try very hard to be politically impoverished. But that
But you embraced
built a
it.
certain amount of it creates a shell. It creates a
Mhm.
shell, I've never had to eat stray animals before, so
Yes. You're doing
you know
good.
that's I'm fine, doing all right. So that gives me a lot of confidence to shift and bob and weave, because I'm all right.
Yeah.
And I have to just be true to the fact that I have to keep. I don't have to really keep reminding myself. I just, like my father passed away at a really young age. Well, not, I was 18, 17.
Mhm. Yeah, it's pretty young.
And man, that put me in a really weird space. But it taught me that our journey ends, that it's finite, that our time is finite, and accepting that, and then maneuvering, and then the swap meet, education teaches you to maneuver your resources and make something that serves you. That nothing is forever, and it's one thing to know it, and it's another thing to understand it, and it's another thing for it to be burned into your bones with an
Mhm.
emotional event like that. So yeah, I think that drove me to not hesitate, because my father was a dreamer. My father was a
Yeah.
dreamer with no action, which was it's
Got it.
toxic stuff.
So do you think that the no
Um,
action really enforced you or made you want to put things in action? Because I mean, you're in action. You're all action.
but I do it. I do it to everything. Yeah. If I'm learning something, I dive in. I've only been playing the guitar for 3 months. I've got 5 of them now.
Oh my God.
At the
You're
flea
like all
market.
or
I didn't buy them at the
nothing.
flea market. It's just, what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point? It makes me happy. And sometimes that's fleeting. That somebody
Absolutely.
put it online. Someone online says, this too shall pass. That
Yeah.
doesn't just apply to bad things. So yeah, dive in, and I make time for things that make me happy and make my life easier. Just floating along.
Well, I just love your drive and like the passion. And you know what? I'm looking at this card again, and I'm realizing this is the Page of Wands, which is like, this is her. Like, she has this flame about her, and it's this energy of like going all in, so focused on it. And that's the thing that's driving, is that all of a sudden that drive or that passion. And I get the same thing. I'll get hooked on something, and it's like you have to like see it all the way through, and you put everything into it. And then it's almost like once that flame kind of flickers out a little bit, or it starts to die down, then it's like another one kind of, engulfs me, and then I have to go and do that sort of thing. And I'm
Yeah.
seeing, that beautiful flame that just like you're dancing with this fire.
Yeah. And you have to. When I was going through my mourning process for my father,
Mhm.
I really latched on to my uncle to find guidance and that male energy. And he just kept drilling it into my head and saying, the only thing constant in this world is change. The only thing constant in this world is change. And he just kept saying it and kept saying it. At some point, it becomes a part of the way you live your life, when you have, I think, because they're role models. They're people that you trust. I think that information is not just verbal. It's genetic. It's soulful. It's there's a connection there that nobody sharing information with you can activate that within you. It's something that it's this blood connection, and he was just really adamant about it. The only thing constant in this world is change. And it's true.
I could just, and I was just looking at your face, and I just was seeing you like replay his voice, like almost like an over and over, and you kind of reconnecting to his voice and energy when he just.
And as an 18-year-old, you're so malleable. You're still, you think you're an adult, and you think you know where you're going, and but no, you're just as lost as the adults. Because we're pretty fucking lost too. We just know how to bob and weave with the journey. It's not that we know more, or it's just somebody throws something at you, just or whatever life does, or whatever. You just gotta dip out of the way and
go in,
bob and weave. Keep going. No worries. Later.
Wow.
See things, kind of float by. It's funny. I saw that card, and I thought, I like to wear black.
Yeah.
And I feel not like I like the color black, and I feel like a dark, but because it's such a calm color, like I don't want. My mind is really active already, so I saw the crow, and I saw the flame. And this thing could be roaring.
Oh, yeah.
But outside can be calm, it's a really beautiful card. And for me, there being like a connection to nature, like the plants, I love to go hiking and all these other different things that make me feel re-grounded. Again, you pulled that card, and it struck home. Yeah.
It captures something for sure. And I just see like that sun behind this bird. It's like it's rising and coming up and just basking in that light.
Yeah. Migrating with the seasons.
So what would you say, what season you're in right now with all of this that's happening?
Right now, I'm just trying to be fluid. I'm just moving along. I already set the pace. It's already set. There's nothing needs to be done other than wait for the things that I set in motion spiritually, physically, to come to fruition. There's just no doubt that it's headed there. It's just, I already did the work. I just need to maintain myself, and recover, and be ready to act again, and to be ready to put that amount of energy back into the thing that which ginger's going to be this thing that's going to be in my yard, and I'm going to grow sunflowers, and it's going to be easy. But this business, and now the guitar's giving me something to learn. Right now, I'm just using it as an outlet to, keep my hands busy. I really miss making objects, but they don't make sense. They just don't make sense. They don't make sense. What's this single object doing for the world? And it's hard for me to even say that, because I was so in it.
Right.
So in it, so dedicated, so blindly, following, and almost to the point where it was stubborn. I was stubborn following this thing to where I lost relationships, and I lost, not lost. It's never losing. It's never even losing. It's just having things shift. Things, the world and the dynamic of the movie is gonna put you where you need to be, whether you want to be there or not.
Right.
I was being less fluid than
Got it.
I was being less true to that fluidity, right? So life taught me a few lessons in it, put me in some awkward positions. But yeah, just nothing, a little self-reflection and learning.
Oh my
Can't fix.
God. And I think, yeah, I mean, just listening to you, and I think there's so many people that will resonate with this thing of, what we thought was life, or that we thought this is the most important thing. And then the shift of, what really matters and how do I really want to spend my time, and, the people that I'm dealing with and working with. And I've just seen, all these shifts, and even just connecting with people with designing their homes, like it's all changed, like the whole dynamic and the reasoning why they're wanting to create space. It's so different.
Yeah. Yeah. And how they're going to connect to that space, and how you helping them create that space sets examples for other people. My sister's a really big fan of yours. She really likes what you do, and she's just
She's
getting
super
into that spiritual realm, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. And the work she's doing.
She's had to have been the logical big sister for such a long time, to the point where things have to be in order and things da da da. But now she's getting into the spiritual, and she's letting go a little more, and she's exploring parts of herself that are, and that's something that that is really easy to forget, is that the things that we do are setting examples for people and affecting people that are on their journey, that we can be messengers. And I think that's something really, really awesome that you're doing, is that you always put out a lot of positivity. And even if the sometimes with the readings that you're making, it could be a card that could be interpreted as a negative thing. You're not saying, okay, be careful, this is a card that da-da-da-da. No, you're saying, this is going to bring out this within you, and this is the energy you need to look within for yourself and within yourself to thrive in adversity. That's amazing. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's coming from a place of empowerment, of knowing like what energies are maybe at play, and how can we overcome those things, or how can we use it to our advantage, and versus, coming about it with fear. And, it's just about changing that perspective, I guess, and how I like to look at things and interpret them.
Yeah, it's
For
sometimes
sure.
you might get more followers if you were to make a little fear mongering,
Oh my God, can you
but
imagine?
but
No,
you're
there's no
like
way.
no, yeah, the Fox News of
Oh my
tarot
God.
cards.
Yeah, no. I'd be very afraid. Cannot even imagine.
No, me neither. It's terrible. Such an oxymoron.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, I did. And I feel like that, that just in my life too, like whenever something horrible happens, or something unexpected, or something devastating happens, it's my spirit is to overcome, and to take it and take that energy and harness it, and create something out of it, and to overcome it. Like I just have a very
Yeah,
stubborn
yeah,
way about me, where it's like, I'm going to prove that wrong, or I'm going to overcome this, and I'm going to do it with, fierce and passion.
yeah.
Sure.
And yeah, it's a skill set for sure to be able to reframe things. And I'm not sure if you go into it. Here's a question for you: do you go into these
Yeah.
readings and you get the card and you go, okay, I need to reshift this positively, or is that something that
Oh,
comes more natural
no.
to you?
I look at the card, and I just look at it, and the first things that pop to mind, the intuition of it, and I'm just like, oh, I can see this in this sort of perspective. I guess it's not really a
Yeah,
conscious thing that I'm doing. And when
yeah,
it comes out and I talk, I don't know where it comes from sometimes, or I'll do readings and I don't remember what I just read. Like I'll forget. It's like, you're kind of in this
has it always
channel.
been that way, is the other question.
I feel like I've always read like that. And that's
Yeah,
probably one
but
of
I'm
the
saying
reasons
just in
why.
general, maybe not your readings, but has your perspective always been that way?
Oh, yeah.
Like as a younger self, or as,
hmm Yeah, as a little kid, I
or is it
remember
something that
like,
you had to develop?
it's a good question. I'm trying to think of an example of what might have happened. No, I feel like I always shifted. There were times when, I grew up very poor and in this apartment complex, and I had a stepdad that was just horrific. And he would lock us out and it would be raining outside. And I just remember like, oh, like we're going to like
We get to
create
play in
this
the rain.
thing. Yeah. I would just like shift it and like,
Cool.
okay,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
going to
yeah.
like do this thing and we're going to go, you know, and it just felt like, and same thing like in my garage, like I would sneak away in the garage and pretend like it was, you know, my house and it was mine. And yet there's like cockroaches, you know, like running around on the floor, but I created like a cool little bed and it was
Friends.
just like, oh, I'm in
Yeah.
the cabin, I'm in the woods. Like it was always just like
Yeah.
a shift of how can I don't even know if it was a conscious thing. It was just like, oh, you know, it was kind of like playing with imagination and putting myself, I guess part of it
Yeah.
too, when I was younger is my home didn't feel safe, you know, and I created these sacred spaces and most of the time it was in a tree. You know,
Yeah.
I'd climb up in the tree and that was
Yeah.
my sacred space.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's adversity again, you know, sharpening you, right? Sharpening the knife, you know, honing that
Yeah.
for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like at every point I feel like, I mean, just when I left my home, I ran away from home and like literally had a garbage bag with clothes and that was it. I wasn't able to take anything else.
Yeah.
So it was just like, we're going to do it. Make it work.
Yeah. What else could happen?
Yeah, it's like I
Famous
have
last
nothing.
words.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was just like, I don't have anything, you know, I don't have a car. Like I would take public transportation and I had a garbage bag of clothes and I was like, I'm going to make a world for myself. I'm going to start new.
Good. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. It's again, your environment, creating that shell. Yeah. I think there's something that every time we connect or interact, I always feel some sort of connection in that respect, that it's, I think it's a developed skill set that happened for us young, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that I like people ask me all the time is, well, how do you stay so positive and you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's a developed skill set that everybody can do, you know, you just have to hone that for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not this
Yeah, but
natural
you-
thing that's unattainable.
Yeah, I mean, you just got me like
Right?
reflecting on all these things and all these stories. Like, holy shit! Like, I've gone through some crap, and it was like every single one. It just totally right. It just kind of puts you in this space to like reframe, recreate, like, and to be malleable and to shift and be and looking at things in these different perspectives. And how do I get over this? And it was just like a constant solving of problems. It wasn't even like problems. It was more like a game. It was like, how do I maneuver myself out of this? How do I, you know, work this at a different angle?
Yeah. Take your
It's cool.
resources and make them work for you.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever
Yeah.
it is, even if it's a trash
Yeah.
bag full of clothes.
Yeah.
Right. At some point, I don't know what you did there for money at some point, but you said,
Oh, I
okay,
was working,
this is my
but
skill
and
set.
yeah.
This is what I'm interested in. But I mean, there's a skill set that you
Yeah.
have to employ to work too. You know, there's take inventory and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Awesome.
determined. Yeah. It's that, you know, it's that drive, that determination and that passion. And it's just like, just knowing that you're going to overcome it. And yeah, very
Yeah.
cool.
It's sometimes I feel like sometimes I feel like to the point where things are pre-written in some respect. And it'll work out.
It works out. It always
The
works
story
out.
can't end like the story doesn't end like this.
It
Or the
has
story
to.
doesn't end. It's gonna
Yeah.
change.
It
There's
has
gonna be
to.
character development or whatever there.
Yeah. All right, Daniel. Thank you. You've been listening to the Holistic Interior Design Business podcast. If it's one that you have been enjoying, please share with anyone else that you think can benefit from this knowledge. And leave us a 5-star review that helps us get seen and found by other new and aspiring interior designers. And if you're looking for mentorship, I invite you to join our club here at the Design Coven. It's a bridge between school and real life interior design. We get in much deeper there. We have virtual and in-person events. So everyone is welcome. You don't need to have a design degree to be part of it, just an interest in holistic interior design. I also want to thank our editor, Marcy Ferry, and lastly, Kinseth Thibodeau, who is our music composer. Until next time, be well, and we will see each other soon.